Chapter 27. Ambush. The next day's drive was mostly under the eaves of the wood. Gwen practiced shooting at trees, which Zipper and Delta would then sprint out to attack. It was tiring work, but more interesting than attacking the back of the wagon. They didn't see another soul on the road going in either direction. "Yep," said Zipper. "I'm pretty sure they took the coast road." "We should probably put the bow away and stop charging at random trees," said Delta. "I expect that they will have an ambush set up. It's kind of the perfect setup for it." They all concurred and stowed their gear. However, they left their tabards on. It wouldn't do to be preemptively taken out as attackers, but they also didn't want to just be corralled as traveling merchants. Delta was just about to call a halt when Gwen tapped her on the shoulder. She had been napping on and off during the day, but the shade of the wood didn't bother her as much as when they were under the broad daylight. Delta looked down and pointed at Johnston, who was on high alert and whose ears were twitching. "I agree," said Delta. "It seems to have gotten awfully quiet." Zipper reined in the donkeys. They all put their hands in plain sight, watched, and waited. A few minutes passed, and Delta was just about to give up when there was a rustling in the undergrowth. A man emerged, dressed in dark and dirty clothes, smudges on his brown skin, and a kerchief over his hair. He had a strung bow over his back, and a quiver of arrows strapped to his thigh. However, he moved cautiously and, likewise, with his hands in easy reach. "Stand and deliver?" asked Zipper. The man grinned, a flash of white teeth. "Not precisely," he said with an Eastern accent. "I would be warning you about entering a disputed zone and how you are subject to seizure and holding, but I do not think you are normal itinerants." "Captain Delta, Wight's Brigade," said Delta formally. "We are currently out of contract and do not raise arms to any who do not raise them to us." "Looking for work, then?" he asked, flashing his grin again. "Possibly," said Delta. "More immediately, we have in our possession something that we think might be of interest to your commander." "Oh-ho," he said. "Is that so?" There was more rustling, and another figure emerged. It was a young girl, dressed much the same, but with fairer skin and red hair peeking out from her kerchief. "I can take them in," she volunteered. The man gave her a long, suffering look. "I've not even decided what to do with them," he complained. "But you will," she said confidently. He sighed good-humoredly. "Apparently, I am going to decide to send you back to the commander." He looked speculatively at the wagon. "I do not think you are plotting assassination. Whatever you might possess of interest to the general, I will let him decide. I do not need to know." He nodded at each of them. "Please keep your weapons stowed so there are no misunderstandings." He gestured to the girl next to him. "This trooper will provide your escort to our camp." "Thank you," said Delta formally. "We left from around Bourges this morning and did not see any traffic on the road in either direction, before or behind us." He smiled and bowed formally. "Thank you for your information. We will check ourselves, but if true, it will confirm your good intentions." The girl strode up to them and hopped onto the running board of the side. "We need to go ahead about a half a mile, and then there's a turning." Zipper snapped the reins, and the wagon jolted off. "So, Wight's Brigade," started the girl. "That means you're at Claire's. I was there too, left flank, archer unit, there to suppress flankers. There weren't any, so there wasn't that much action for us." "Been with them long?" Delta looked at her with a cheery expression. "About half a year. We were in the middle of it and got overrun by your charge. I'm the only one who survived. The other two joined us since then." "Two?" she asked. Then she peered in the back. "Oh, Thule be far. I didn't see you back there." "Thule and Yarplip be far," answered Gwen. "I love your wolf," said the girl. Zipper leaned forward to get a better look. "Aren't you precocious?" The girl grinned apologetically. "We can scoot over if you want to sit." "Nah," she said. "I've been squatting under the bush all morning. Happy to move my legs." Her face became a little more serious. "I'm sorry for your loss at Claire's. We hit the middle pretty hard. Dad says they always put the mercs in the worst places." "Your dad's a mercenary?" asked Zipper. "Yes, the fighting 51st, she beamed. They were something back in the day, but both Dad and Mom retired just a bit after, well, me." "Before my time," said Delta. "Are you following in his footsteps?" "A bit. Dad's the archer. I'm trying it out for a turn of service." "Regular army, then?" said Delta. "Yep," said the girl. "Just one of the troops. A couple of mercenary squads did just join up this morning. Are you here to join as well? I think we'll just see how it goes, said Delta. The girl shrugged. Which brigades? Asked Zipper. Hearth Mothers, Marauders, and Weavers Wolverines, said the girl. Amazons. I think the Marauders tried to recruit me once, said Zipper. Are you from Amazonia? Asked the girl. No, said Zipper, but neither are they. Well, they're expats, said the girl. We have a lot of expat Amazons. She looked around the inside of the wagon. So, spear, glaive, black and white heraldry. Were you guys the ones in the tower on the west side of the woods? We were harassed at Banbury Tower by some of your troops, said Delta. The girl snapped her fingers. I have a friend in that unit, a shield, small, blonde, short-tempered. I think I conked her on the head, said Delta, suppressing a grin. The girl did not suppress her grin at all. She was spitting mad that you got away. Sorry for the inconvenience, said Delta. I hope there's no hard feelings. The girl rolled her eyes. That one's a professional at holding a grudge, but don't worry, we have strict rules about who is and who is not an enemy combatant. They rode on for a bit as the girl held out her hand for Johnston to sniff. Gwen watched warily but did not intervene. Up there, between those two big trees, there's a lane, said the girl. You need to take that. She looked back at the wagon. If nothing else, I hope you guys sign on for training. We're woefully short of polearms, not to mention cavalry. The general says that limits our options on the battlefield. She leaned closer and spoke in mock confidentiality. He's big into options. She hopped off as they made their turn. Anyway, if you do, I'll try to get time off to train with you. Mom says my pole work is substandard. She trotted off ahead as they made their way through the trees. Was I that young once? Asked Zipper. I started probably a year or two after her, said Delta. Had training for 2 years before that. I can't imagine you that chipper, said Zipper. Neither can I, agreed Delta. The lane was fairly narrow, but they could see by the light that it opened up more widely some distance ahead. Imperialists all speak Goblin? Asked Gwen, confused. Delta shrugged. I wouldn't have thought so. We might want to reconsider our choice of secret language, said Zipper. The forest changed around them. There weren't any fewer trees, but the underbrush around them had been cleared out. There was a cottage here, like a nucleus, and tents arrayed around it. Troops marched up and down, training or stacking or moving stuff. The red-haired girl, who had taken off her kerchief, waved them over to the side of a more open area, to an open-sided tent. A man stood in front, fists on his hips. It was the clerk who had done their paperwork at Claire's. The girl waved one final time and strode off. Wight's brigade, said the clerk. Delta and Zipper dismounted. At your service. He raised up on his toes and looked at the wagon. Up to 3 now. I saw the paperwork. From strength to strength, said Delta. I'm told you have something for me, he said. Delta explained the story from when they took the contract to Arsan's discovery of the lead and handing it over to them. We were hoping there would be some sort of bounty, finished Delta. The clerk nodded. Well, I do thank you for not holding it ransom, burying it in the woods, or threatening to melt it down. As for bounty, he tapped his fingers to his lips. We do have some rules about that, but they are mainly based on the raw value of the reclaimed goods, and they need a few cross-signatures. He looked at Zipper. I know how motivated you are about making the paperwork easy. He grinned. It might just be simpler to say that you took on the commission for delivery and to just pay you the already agreed upon and budgeted amount for the delivery. How much would that be? Asked Zipper, resignedly. 30 shillings, said the clerk. That sounds just fine, said Delta. Zipper looked fit to argue, so Delta said aside to her, It's a lot more than we would have got for just the lead, or just taking it in, or just taking Arsan's final payment, she said. Delta turned back. I hope your orcs enjoyed their medals. The clerk smiled thinly. If they find out about your daring rescue of them, you may get 1 or 2 yourself, he warned. They laughed politely. So, would you have any contracts up for, say, training or nocturnal scouting? Asked Delta. The clerk smiled warmly. We do indeed. Perfect for a half-strength unit. I'll just get the tablets.